I would love to wish everyone a victory morning, So wish you a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous day. And I think the day has already started on a great note because you have chosen to be here, and you've chosen to kind of learn more. Because like I was just telling Farida a while back, that the more people you meet, the more things you learn, and the more things you learn, the more opportunities you have to actually grow and win at life. So yes, I mean, so my role in my own life, as well as the lives that I touch and I infect in some way, is only to embody the feeling that each one of us can win and will win, no matter where you are right now, in what situation. It could be personal, professional, health, financial, whatever. You have it in you to actually make that difference and win. Yeah, I mean, so that's something that I'm going to talk about today. And I'd like to start with a little bit about how it all began, because a lot of people ask me, what do you mean by victory coach? We know an executive coach, we know a life coach, we know about a business coach, so wellness coaches, etc., etc. So what do you think, what do you mean by a victory coach? So it all goes down about almost 8 years ago, when I was in advertising, having a fabulous career out there, doing very well. I worked for the largest MNC brands, in advertising. I worked for Idea Cellular. I worked for Raymond's. I did a lot of work for Parley, Sanofi, HDFC, lots of brands, and met some amazing personalities as well on the way, because that's what advertising does to you. It puts you across, the CEOs of largest organizations, who kind of lean in to ask you for support and advice as as a specialist. And I remember it was a great journey being in advertising for 16 plus years. And in the last couple of years of my advertising career, I just realized that, something was not giving me the vibe. I just didn't feel like going to work, you know. Everything was good. I mean, the pay was fantastic. The people were amazing. And like I said, this was something I always loved doing, meeting people. That is what gives me the high. The moment I'm around people, I'm just, I just feel amazing. And that's when I guess, you get this nudge from the universe. And I guess that is a time when you feel restless, is a time when some change is going to happen in your life. So I always tell people, if you are feeling confused, if you are feeling lost, if you are feeling, I don't know where things are going, then you are on the cusp of change. And change will happen. And like we all say, change is so amazing because it's going to open the vista for something beautiful that is coming your way. It is messy. It is horrible. It is disgusting sometimes and frustrating, but it's worth it. And here I would just like to share that, when I transitioned from being in advertising to being a coach and trainer, I realized that something was off in my life. There was something that was not making me inspired to do what I always loved. And and that's the time when I got into numerology. I got into counseling. This was something that I was just imbibing, just to know how I can be better. Maybe searching for my own my own destiny, so to speak. And I remember I met this one person, and he mentioned to me that, what, you're on the path of discovery, so just keep discovering. Don't look for answers, just keep going with the flow, just keep walking on the journey. And that's exactly what I did. And I realized that what I really wanted to do was make a difference to people's lives. And I wanted to see the difference happening, because in advertising, advertising works, but we really don't know which part works, right? So I wanted to see the difference that I could make in people's lives. I mean, whatever, it could be a minuscule difference, but I just wanted to have the the feeling that, yes, can I actually do something purposeful. And that's when I actually made a shift. I took the call to move into doing coaching. But the difference in my coaching, like I said, is I help you to actually win And the way I do that is by using numerology, which is a science. It's a science that is borrowed, which is it's a Western concept. And what it does, it gives me a complete blueprint about a person's life. The moment I have the person's date of birth, I get a complete analysis. I can do a complete analysis of the person's life in terms of their personality, their attitude towards challenges, their attitude towards success, their leadership skills, even in their life stage. We all go through life stages. We have our ups and we have our downs. Even through the ups and downs, how are they going to react? When is their up going to be and when is the down going to start? So empowered with this knowledge, it gives me a better understanding of how to coach people who come to me, and of course, like everything in life, it's just not about acquiring, doing a course and knowing everything. It's eventually all about practice, getting your hands dirty and working on it. And I remember when I made this shift, yeah, I was at the pinnacle of my career, doing very, very well. Like I said, I had no I had no reason to kind of, actually change, but I did. And in the first 14 months, I think, of my business, because in the kind of business I am, I cannot go around telling people, hey, you know what, come and take my service. If I was in advertising, I could have, I could kind of publish ads. I could do campaigns which would say, hey, you know what, come to me. I'll help you win on your brand. I could not do that in the kind of work that I'm doing, because it's almost a bit like like a healer, like a doctor. You don't go and advertise your product. You expect people to just come to you. And the only way it worked was word of mouth. And, when you have the backing of a large organization, it's easy to go around flouting a card and saying, hey, you know what, I can do this for you. I can do that for you. I can negotiate a deal for you. We can, we can negotiate quotes because we're doing it for somebody else. But when you start doing it for yourself, there's fear. There's hesitancy. Will people buy my product? Am I being very selly? Am I being very pushy? You have all those answers, and your ego kind of also comes in the way. And I remember for about 14 months, it was a really, really uphill task. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where I was going. And I realized I was actually down to just 1,200 rupees in my bank account. And I had an 85,000 EMI to pay in the next 3 weeks. And that's when you question yourself that have you really taken the right path? And in the business I'm in, that's my job to tell people, hey, you know what, this is your path. And I was at that point questioning my own belief, my own faith in what I was doing. And I just left it to the universe. I remember I just laid on the floor one afternoon, and I just said, hey, you know what? You up there, just give me a sign whether this is what I need to do or not. And right enough, maybe half hour later, I really don't know, there was someone I knew who reached out to me and said, ma'am, I have a proposition for you. And when you're starting out, you think everybody is trying to take advantage of you and they want it for free. So I thought maybe this was just one of those things where somebody wants to take a service of mine. I was so desperate for that money. And I remember that I asked him, very shamelessly, will you pay me? He had a training assignment that he was offering to me. And the trainer at that point in time had developed colitis. So there was no one who could take that space. And he only knew me very well. So he said, I'd rather speak to somebody I know. And when I said, will you pay me? He was completely, perplexed. He was like, of course. I mean, what kind of question is that? And my second question to him was, how much? And he says, whatever we were paying the trainer, ma'am, we'll pay you. It was a 2-day training. And I was very persistent because I was so desperate for that money. I had just 1,200 rupees. I didn't know what's going to happen next. And he tells me, ma'am, we're going to pay you 1 lakh. And that, Farida, to me was my sign. And I was still very persistent because my questions did not end. I still asked him, will I get an advance? Because we all know when we work with organizations, the money doesn't really come in on the time that you want. I mean, there could be anything that could go, go awry. And he smiled and he said, ma'am, you know what? If you give me all your details, we panel you. So we perfect the empanelment procedure. we will pay you 75% advance, and the balance we'll pay within the next 5 days. I wanted it soon after my, training, but he said that may not be possible. But I assure you, we will pay you within the next 5 days. And I actually got the entire amount within a week. And that is when I decided that, you know what, I don't want to just be a coach. I actually want to be a person who can, who can inspire you to victory. And that's how Farzana Suri Victory Coach was really born. So my role, I say, that my role in this world, my role in whatever I do, is to help you to find the victor within you. It's to help you to see that victory is in your hands. And in all of this, like, you can keep doing the same thing every day and you'll only get to where you already are. If you really want to do something different, if you really want to always be, because why do, like you just said, there are coaches and coaches and coaches, and there's enough for everybody under the sun. But in spite of that, you still have to be relevant. Why would people want to choose you over somebody else? And I think the secret lies in the fact that you keep upgrading and learning. Because if you are not learning and upgrading yourself, because the environment is changing, right? Everything around you is evolving. 8 years ago when I started, things were so different. Today, social media, you put something on social media and you have so many people reaching out to you. Today, whatever we are doing is another great way. I wish I knew something like this existed maybe 8 years ago. We would have been different, right? But then we all need to evolve as times change. The problems are changing. Like, nobody knew about digital detox maybe 8 years ago. We were also happy to just be on social media and be available to people and just find our friends across Facebook. And today, we have courses like digital detox available. So if you're not ready for change, then you will, your growth will get hampered. Your growth gets hampered. So to me, I feel, a bulk of my growth lies in, of course, the experiences that I get from the various clients that I'm, working with. And apart from that, my learning is a huge thing. And learning comes from everywhere. It doesn't just come from courses and all. Of course, that is very important. Like, I invest in learning every year. I park aside 2 weeks where I'm just going to be doing different things. It may not even be related to what I do. It doesn't matter. I will learn pottery, but I will learn something because I know it will help me somewhere. So I use different techniques apart from numerology in my, coaching. I use art therapy. I use dance therapy. I use music. I use doodling. I use anything that kind of vibes with people, because each one of us is very different. We're wired differently. Some are very auditory. Some prefer visual. So you've got to give them things that, they will be able to work with. So yeah, I mean, that's basically that's my journey.